Hi everyone, Kirk here with Kirk's Motorrad shop in Crystal Lake, Illinois, bringing you a do-it-yourself video. Today's video is going to be on how to check the valves on a K1600. Now it doesn't matter if it's a 2012 all the way up through 2024 or 2025. If it's a K1600, this is how you're going to check the valves. One of the things that some things that may be a little bit different is just how you remove the side covers, as well as maybe the front air dam. But all of that stuff can be pretty much easily figured out, or you can watch one of my other videos on how to do that stuff. So where I'll be starting this video off, as you can see behind me here, this K1600 has all the covers removed, and I have the front air dam, or the mud flap, okay, the thing that looks like this. That's already been removed. And where I'll be picking this up is basically from the radiator drain on through the valve check. By the way, this is going to be a kind of a two-part video. This motorcycle came in and it has some valve noise going on, and the valve noise is significant enough that I am very sure it's going to actually need an adjustment. I am quite certain you can hear the ticking. But I am going to go through the entire procedure on how to check your valves, and then if they're out of spec, how to measure where they are at. So that way, if you do have to change valve buckets or make adjustments, you're going to be able to figure that stuff out, hopefully, as long as there's not any physical damage or anything else that's going on inside there. It's going to be a pretty technical video, and I hope you guys appreciate this stuff. If you do appreciate this stuff and you'd like to help out with the production of these videos, please check the links that are right down in the description down below, and you're going to be able to see ways in which you can help out. One of the ways is by helping just support my Patreon channel. That sends money directly to me and really helps out. There's also PayPal donations, and even visiting my Amazon page and purchasing things through Amazon. If you buy stuff off of Amazon, use that as your home page, and that will I'll get that, a couple pennies on the dollar basically. It won't cost you anything extra, and it is just a way to help support me in the work that I'm doing here. But let's get going on this. So what I've done so far is I have put a clamp right here on this hose that comes off of the reservoir, because I don't want to empty out the reservoir. There's no need to do that. So I've got a hose clamp on there, and I started draining the radiator, but I will bring you guys over to see where the radiator drain is. We need to remove the entire radiator. The whole cooling system has to come off the bike in order for us to get to the valves. Here's your valve cover here, and there's a auxiliary air system that's on there. We got to pull that off. There's definitely some more work here. You got 18,000 miles or plus on the bike, and you don't know where your spark plugs are at, timing wise. Obviously you know where they're at, but this would be a really good time to go ahead and change your spark plugs. I won't be doing that on this bike because that's been done recently, and but that is how you're going to do it. So I'll take you over to the other side, show you where the drain is on this thing, and we're going to keep it going right from there. Now if you hear a rumbling noise in the background, that is my air conditioning unit, and it is definitely needed on a hot summer day. So you're just going to have to put up with that little bit of rumbling. Could be worse, could be music, right? Now right down here, you're going to see there's a little twist thing right here. And you're just going to open it. It's like a little quarter turn. Pull it out, and you'll see the coolant will start coming out. I did remove the radiator cap already and partially drain this, but I wanted to just show you where that drain is. And while we are over here on this side of the bike, we're going to remove this radiator hose right here. Get yourself one of these tools. Maybe you already have one in your toolbox. This is made for removing these radiator hoses. You can also do it with a regular pliers, but if you got the right tools, that's always a big bonus. And you are definitely going to need some of the right tools for this job. Okay, I'm going to pull that off, and then I'm going to dump it out because it's definitely going to have some fluid in it still. Of course, there's not a time that I do this that I don't make a mess. It is like some unwritten law of the universe that Kirk has got to make a mess every single time he does one of these bikes. Another thing that we're going to do right now, since we're still on this side of the bike, is we're going to pull off these little C-clips that are holding on the radiator. There's 3 of them. They look like that right there. Just grab them and pull them off, and there's also a washer that's right behind it you need to pull off. You got one there. There's one right underneath here. And then there's one on the other side. So we'll move over to the other side now while that's continuing to drain out. Actually, we can close this up. Okay, right up at the top here, you got another one of those C-clips. Pull that off. And now over here, you've got right here, this is your fan right here. You want to turn that thing. I think that'd be counterclockwise, quarter turn, pull it off. And there's always a zip tie on it. Go ahead and cut the zip tie. And then you can unplug this. This is for your fan. Just push it in and pull it apart. Right on the top you've got your reservoir fill. This is where the hose is. Go ahead and pull that off. And I like to take this and just put it right up here. Just get it up out of the way. Put it up right here by the reservoir. Next we have a bolt right down here. There's one bolt, a T30, holding on this lower coolant line that goes to the water pump. So take that out, and then you just pull it away. Make sure you got something underneath, because you'll make a mess just like I will just right now. I know I'm going to make a mess. I always make a mess. That's like a miracle I didn't make a big mess. Anyways, dump that hose out. Everything is pretty much ready to come off now. The radiator is ready to come off. So we're just going to pull the grommet off at the bottom. And then slide these off. If you might need to put a little bit of WD-40 or something on the grommets. It depends on the last time you pulled it off of there, or somebody did. I'm going to go to the other side, pull that off, and you'll see the radiator will just drop away. Okay, I've talked about this in other videos, as well as some of my video shorts that I've done. This is a great time to take your radiator outside and go clean it out. Rinse it out real good, wash it, blow it out with compressed air if you have that available to you, but definitely clean out your radiator. Now with the radiator out of the way, we've got this air channel right here. Just pull that off. If there are things that are attached to it, you'll be able to figure out how to pull them off. Usually a wire right here, this little sensor wire is hooked to it, but just pull the thing straight away and remove it. Put it in your growing pile of parts. Next thing we're going to do is remove the air system right here. This it's held in 3 areas. It's your crankcase breather. You can remove this line if you want. Doesn't really matter if you don't, but in this case I am going to remove it because I want this thing completely removed from the bike altogether so that I can make this video a little more clear. I'm just going to get this thing up out of the way. I like to start over on the other side of the bike. If you wanted to start on this side, you certainly can, but it's just my personal habit. These things can be very, very challenging to get off of here. This one, I've worked on this bike before, so I know that this is going to come off fairly easy, but guys, trust me, it's very delicate. You do not want to break them because these things are a lot of money from BMW. So go slowly. Use WD-40 if you have to, In order to get that in, you can peel these parts away from the metal and get some WD-40 back there, but you can see this one pulls off real easy because I've seen this bike before, and I put some lubricant on the back side of those things, on these little rubber nipples that go in there. So I'm just going to pull that away, and I'm going to pull off the other side. That's the easiest that one's ever come off. Trust me, it is very difficult. If this bike hadn't been in here before, or it had been a long time since this bike was serviced, that thing is a bear. It's a challenge. You can get it off. Sometimes you can wedge a flat bladed screwdriver in between these things and get some WD-40 back there and wiggle it around to loosen it up, and then it will pull away. Mercifully, I do not need to show you how difficult those things can be on this particular job. Again, I just use a pry bar, pry up underneath, and just pull it away. So there's the part right there. When you put it back together, which I'll show in this video, but I do put a little bit of silicone lubricant around these little rubber parts so that the next time it comes apart, it makes it as easy as you just saw. For my next trick, we're going to go ahead and remove the spark plug wires. So you got a little tab here, and then you just pull the wires away. There you go. So just lift up the tab, pull them away. They're going to basically hang in the order. You don't need to really mark those or anything. If you wanted to mark them, go right ahead. It doesn't matter. And then when we're going to remove the coils, I take my pry bar. Now there is a tool that goes on here, but the tool it basically takes up all the room. And these things really don't come off very hard. It's not like you're at a big risk of breaking anything. But if you get right up underneath the lip where the connector is, and you just lift up just a little bit, you'll see it'll just pull right off. There you go. You're going to just keep them. I like to just keep them in order. I just lay them out in a way that I know which one goes where. If you do get them mixed up, don't worry about it, guys. It's not a big deal. So right here in the middle is your a sensor for it's a cam sensor. It's got a little tab just like the rest of it does. Pull that sensor wire off. It's a cam position sensor. Okay, everything's out of the way. So now I'm going to remove the valve cover. You got T40 bolts right here going all the way across. You need to remove all of those, of course. Okay, if you have access to compressed air, before you remove this thing, take some compressed air and blow up along the top side of this. Blow any dust off that you can, just to try to minimize the amount of stuff that will fall down into the engine when you pull the top the cover off. Once you get all the bolts out, take a dead blow hammer and tap it. And the should come loose, and you can just pull the cover off. There we go. And you'll see on this one, this gasket is still stuck here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that. You can reuse these gaskets, guys. I know that if you're reading a book or you're talking to other people, they might say, "Oh, definitely change these gaskets." I'm telling you, you really don't have to change these gaskets unless something happened to it. Unless somebody put a lot of silicone in there and kind of screwed them up, or if it's actually leaking and you know it is, then go ahead and change them out. They're pretty expensive, and they are made to be reused. So go ahead and reuse them. One thing I did not mention earlier is definitely have some stubby bits. They are very difficult to get all the way up into the top here. You really want to have some low clearance kind of bits. This is a Blue Point one, comes off the Snap-on truck, but you can find them in so many other ways, you know, on Amazon or eBay, anywhere. Just get yourself a set of low clearance bits if you're going to attempt this job. If you're not going to attempt this job and you would like me to do this job for you, by all means, hit me up, Kirk, at Kirk's Motorrad Shop, or through my contact page at Kirk's Motorrad, and we'll get you in here and get you squared away. So next thing I'm going to do is remove all the spark plugs. Now I could have done that earlier. Doesn't really matter. Right now I've got even more clearance because the valve cover's off of it, but I need to go ahead and remove the spark plugs because I need to manually rotate the engine, and instead of fighting against compression, it's going to just make the job a whole lot easier. So your spark plugs in here are 14 millimeter. I've got a magnetic socket. If you want one of these, you can find them on my Amazon page. I do have them there. Or you can, maybe you've already got one in your box. Now we need to uncover this right here. This is where your crank is, and it's got a large nut on there so you can manually turn the engine over. So you got to remove these 4 bolts. There's one already out, but I'll have to remove this one to get this this little slide protector off. They're T30s. So this is a 24 millimeter nut, or hex. We're going to use this to manually turn the engine over. So now we need to rotate the engine so that this is the number 1 cylinder on this side. So we want to make sure that this one is at top dead center. That's going to be our starting point for taking our measurements. Now the way that these will look is one will be kind of pointing this way, the other one will be pointing that way. That is going to be top dead. So you're not going to have them so that they're both basically just sticking straight up out of the engine like this. They're going to be, you'll see the position that they're in. If yours are looking like they are in that position, then you're in top dead center or close enough. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. It is okay if you're just a hair off one way or the other. But we're going to rotate the engine in a counterclockwise direction. Basically, think of it as the wheel is turning, it's going forward. The engine is going to be spinning in the same way as the bike is moving from this aspect of the engine, this side of the engine. So I'm going to rotate the engine. Might want to pop it into neutral, and we're just going to rotate it around till we're close. All right, we're getting close here now. So I'm going to take an object. It can be a pencil. Just make sure it's long enough. And I'm going to put it down inside the cylinder. Touch the piston, and you'll see the thing will be moving up, and basically to where it stops moving. Okay, that's right where it stopped moving. You can see that both of the lobes on the cam are pointing. One's pointing that way, one's pointing that way. So if yours are looking very similar to that, you're in good shape. So guys, the measurements that you're going to be looking for on the intake side, that's the upper ones, is anywhere between 0.13 millimeters and 0.23 millimeters. If it's good, then just move on. You don't have to measure it exactly. It's really like a go, no-go thing. If you find that the 0.13 slips through too easy, then it's going to need to be adjusted, and then we're going to discover how far out it is, so that way when we pull off the caps, we can figure out which cap we need to put in to bring it up into spec. But right now, we're going to just go ahead and test. So 0.13 to 0.23, and down here on the exhaust side, this is 0.23 to 0.33 millimeters. And I've got my feeler gauges here. You can see there's 1.3, 2.3, and 3.3. If you're doing inches, you can, it usually has a metric gauge on there. but do check all that stuff out. So we're gonna go ahead and slip through. So the 0.13 should definitely slip through, and you got valves on each side. Okay, and then we're going to take our 0.23, and it should get stuck. In this case, it is definitely off. Okay, this one should be, when I push it in, it should just like bind up on there, and it's not. It's slipping right through. That side slips through. Let's see. This side is good. So the inside valve here, that one's fine because it binds up. It's not sliding right through. Double check that it's fine. And now we can come right down here to the exhaust side and test that one. So I got the 0.23 in my hand. That's good. It slips through. And we got our 0.33. We're going to do it one more time. Will not go in. Nothing. So both exhaust sides here are good. This one is definitely out of spec. So I'm going to go through now, and but I'm going to test the rest of them prior to really getting in there and measuring. I guess I could, you know, I guess since I'm right here and it's already there, I guess I'll just go ahead and measure it. So I'll take my 0.33 and see how far, if that one will go in. And it does. Oh, that's not good at all. Oh boy. Now I've got other sizes here. I've got a 4.0. I put a little bend in it because it helps get that in there. It feels like it's, well, it still goes through at 0.40. That is so massively out of spec, I can't even stand it. No wonder the thing is clattering. So now I'm going to resort to my stackable feeler gauges here and just see where the hell this thing is at. Let's go with 0.50. That, God, I hope that doesn't go in. Alright, 0.50 does not go in there. So it's probably going to be close to 0.45. There we go, 0.45. Yeah, it goes in, but it's really sticky at 0.45. Let me try to... So basically what I'm doing, I'm just trying to explore to see how far out of spec that particular valve bucket is. Once I discover that, I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to go through then and check the rest of these. I really don't know what happened to this engine, why this is like this. I'm going to try this 0.50 again. Put a little bend in it. Oh guys, I can actually get a 0.50 in there. I'm actually really afraid now that there's going to be some physical damage on the on that valve bucket that's in there, because it has been just tapping away. It probably has a divot in it. I'm going to wind up doing this job twice. I'm going to call this one 0.50. And remember, the minimum spec is 0.13. So I'm going to go ahead and note on my sheet here. If you go on the K16 forums, you can find this sheet. This is just a kind of a quick way to write down what your discoveries are. In this case, because this is number one, we got exhaust here. These were both okay, and then my outboard one was at 0.50, and the inboard one was okay. So just going to note down what I find as I go through, and we're going to go ahead and now check the next set of valves. Now what you can do is on your socket make little lines right there. So once you have your marks on here, we're going to rotate the engine 120 degrees, which is 2 marks, because each mark would be 60. Here's our start point right here at the at that seam. So I'm going to rotate it 2 marks, There's one, and there's two. There we go. Now our next cylinder will be in line at top dead center. So again, the firing order is 153624. So wherever you're at on that, if you started off at 1, your next one you check would be 5. Rotate it 2 times, or 2 marks on the socket, and then go to 3. Rotate it 2 marks, go to 6. And it basically you're going to wind up turning the engine over fully 2 times. So on the intake side, on number 5, right here, I'm going to go in just like we did before. Slips in good. Take our 2-3, and that one slips in way too easy, and that one binds up. So I'm going to have to go ahead and measure out this one, but I'm going to check the exhaust side first. I'm going to call that one a 0.45. So you guys can see that I've definitely got some work to do. So now I'm going to go ahead and rotate the engine again. I'm not going to belabor this and show you every valve that's done. I will bring this back just to show you what the results were. The next one is going to be number 3, and then number 6, 2, and then 4. I am going to recheck all the valves, because when they're that far out of spec, I am going to make darn sure that I know exactly the numbers that I really am seeing. I'm going to double check those numbers and on the valves that are out, and yeah, and then we'll continue. But all that to say, the next part of this video, you're going to see me, I'll probably pick it up right about the point where I put the valve cover back on. If you have to adjust your valves, do look up my other video on how to adjust the valves. It is going to take specialty tools and a lot of time and a lot of patience, so follow along. Maybe you'll just watch the video for entertainment's sake, I don't know. But anyway, next part of this video will be on how to put everything back together, putting the valve cover back on, putting new sealant on the gasket here to make sure that it's not going to leak on you, and we'll go from there. Now that we're done with the valve check, we're going to go ahead and put the cover back on. We start off by reinstalling this one, this center gasket right here. Just center it on the holes, and then we're going to take this gasket and we're basically going to put some RTV sealant right here in these corners across the little half moon things, pretty much where you see that it already is. Do wipe off any additional oil that you might have here. We're just going to make a little line there. This thing's got a leak. Alright, well, this is making a mess, but you get the idea. And we're going to do the same on the other side. The biggest part of this is getting it down into the corners. That's the most important part. That's where you're going to, if you're going to spring a leak, that's where it's going to come from, is in the corners. If you do that, go ahead and set that on into place. Push it down into the little half moon spots here. And then we're going to bring our cover in, and where the tricky parts are is there's some wire clips that are up in the back here, and you need to lift those up with an object. So I usually use like a really long screwdriver to get the wire clips to lift up enough so I can get the valve cover down. It will take a minute, just you'll get it. Good. just going to put one bolt as kind of a hold so it doesn't fall out. I'll go mess with the other side. Okay, I got that started. So we're going to go ahead and put our bolts in now. Now we're going to torque these down to 10 Newton meters. We'll start here in the middle, do a cross pattern, and move out to the edges. Okay, with those all done, next up we're going to reinstall our coils. First I'm going to install this sensor wire. And if you're going to change your spark plugs out, that'd be obviously the time you do that. Your spark plugs are going to get torqued down to 20 Newton meters. And we'll reinstall the coils. You push them down, and what I do is, just to make sure that they're fully seated, I take a pry bar and push against the top and make sure that they get seated down. Just pry against the frame. There we go. Plug them back in. Make sure that they're plugged in all the way. You don't want to leave one where it's kind of half unplugged, otherwise you'll get an error code and it will run like garbage, and then you'll be back in there messing with it. So just double check your work. Okay, once we're all done here with our things, we need to bring in that air tube. As I had mentioned earlier in the video, I use a little bit of silicone lube here to just put a little bit on these rubber parts to facilitate removal the next time. And I'm sure there will be a next time. Next part we're going to bring in is that air dam. So here's our air dam, or air guide, whatever you want to call it. Slip that over the little pegs. I'm going to bring this wire back and hook that in right there. And then we're going to bring in the radiator after that. Okay, we're going to bring the radiator in. Hopefully you've cleaned it out really good. I like to take just a little bit of that lubricant and put it right at the ends here. A little bit on the rubber grommet down below. Place. We're going to bring in our washers and the little C-clip, pop those back on. Next part you can do, since the camera is over on this side, is we're going to hook up our water tube here. Just slide that back in, and then that is going to get tightened down to 10 Newton meters. We can hook up our hose for this reservoir line. Put that back on. It's hooked up. Now we can hook up our fan and put that back in its spot here. We're going to take a zip tie and tie this wire back up on it. Okay. We're going to replace this cover now. Just make sure that your O-ring is still in place. Definitely can be reused. These are going to get tightened down to 10 Newton meters. Okay, now I'm going to start refilling the system with coolant. Helps a lot if you have a funnel that looks like this. You can find one on my Amazon page in the description down below. Make sure your drain valve is closed if it wasn't already. And we're going to start filling the system back up. Now you can use a vacuum assist on this if you have one of those. I know a lot of you guys do not, so I'm going to show you how to do it without that unit. So what I'm going to do right now is just go over to the other side and massage the hoses on here just a little bit to try to get some of this air out prior to doing the rest of the air bleed procedure. Okay, with enough coolant in the funnel, we're going to go ahead and bleed the air out of the system the rest of the way. you have one air bleeder right here, so we're going to loosen this up until some coolant comes out. Just going to open this up until coolant comes out. Now we're going to go over the other side and bleed one port on the bike on that side. So right up here on top of this housing, there is a bleed screw like it is on the other side. You need to open that up. And the way that I do it is pop this over and open, remove this one screw on the cover, and then you can lift this and move it over enough to be able to get down in there. So now we can get down into this spot, open up this port here, and this one's going to take a little bit more coolant, so make sure that you got coolant in that funnel at that time. Alright, these plugs are going to get torqued down to 7 Newton meters. I really would encourage you to use a torque wrench on them, just so that they're easier to get off the next time you do this job. Alright, the last part of this coolant fill job, alright, the last part here is to just make sure that your reservoir is full. You don't want to open this up until you put the cap on. And the next part is I'm going to start the bike, rev it a little bit, and let this coolant drop a little bit more. Just a little bit more will get sucked into the system. Some air bubbles will still pop out of there just a little bit. Alright. I'm going to drop that coolant level down just a little bit, and that's it. So guys, I hope that you got something out of this video. If you did, please make sure you give it a thumbs up at least, if not subscribe. If you aren't already subscribed, hopefully you are. And if you'd like me to work on your bike, there's links right down in the below. Kirk at kirksmotorrad.com if you got any questions.